Well, hello, friends. I hope this message finds you well, that you're doing well. I just wanted to offer a bit of an update on some things that are happening in the life of our church. First of all, this coming Sunday, we will have our first in-person worship experience in about 6 months. We're going to do that safely distanced. We're going to do that with masks on. If you're coming, make sure that you wear your mask and bring your mask. You're going to bring your own lawn chairs to sit in, but when you get out there, you're going to be met by ushers, and they're going to show you where to put those, and the people in your household can sit in a place that's at a safe distance from others. We've set this up well. Chip has worked with the people at the Belvoir Winery, where we're going to be, to establish how many people in a worship setting like that in that place can we safely manage based on current guidelines. And so we capped that at 100, and you all have registered for that. We're still going to offer the online service opportunity. We'll be live streaming on Facebook at 11 o'clock when this happens, and Chip has tested that out. And then after that's done, we're going to put that on YouTube later in the day so you can watch that later. So you can still watch safely from home, and I know that's important to so many of you. The vast majority of you have said that you want to be able to do that, and so you will be doing that. You can do that, don't worry about that, but about 100 of us are going to meet out there in the winery, at the winery, not for wine, but for worship. So we're looking forward to seeing you out there for that this week. We also, this past week, Angie Fuller, our children's pastor, has led an opportunity for our children to begin coming together on Sunday morning outside for Bible study. We did that last week at Lewis and Clark. I was there with 2 of my kids, and that was great. And so that's happening again this Sunday as well, and you can look for the information out there about that. Also want you to be aware of the fact that our Reopening the Church Building Task Force that we have been taking our cues and our guidance from on this, their next meeting will happen on the last Sunday of this month. And that's strategic because it will be 2.5 weeks after school has started. So we should have some data that's reflective of what it's like in our area in terms of COVID-19 with school starting 2 weeks in, and what does that look like, and what do we need to pay attention to there. It will also be 1 week after we've had this outdoor in-person worship service, and we can learn some things and observe some things there, and they're just going to look at the data as they've done. They're going to talk. We had that 4-phase plan that they've created that we've been following. They'll look at that, see if any revision needs to be done there, and we're going to consider some things, and maybe we'll just continue with the plan as we have been doing, or some revisions could be made to the plan. We don't really know about that, but we're trusting them to make those decisions. I did want to remind you that there is an incredible task force from our church that is working on those things and creating these plans. I think some people think that maybe I'm doing some of this unilaterally in the the wonderful sanctuary of my office here. But I and we as church leadership really decided early on that we needed a group of people from our church who had different kinds of expertise related to this to be able to weigh in and create these plans. So I wanted to name for you who this task force is, so you can just be aware of who they are, and you'll have a sense, if you know them, of what some of the expertise they're bringing to the table are. Mike Hasty is on this committee, police and fire chief for Gladstone. Luda Teterina is on this committee. Doctors Jennifer Dilts and Jason Dilts are on this task force. Greg Duncan is on this task force. Lyndell Brenton is on this task force. Jeff Langford is on the task force. David Fuller is on the task force. Leslie Bunch, our church moderator, is on the task force. Cathy Baker is on the task force. Charlie Hughes is on the task force. Ken Slater is on the task force. Greg Mees is on the task force. And the pastoral staff is working on and with the task force as well. So really, really great group of people, thoughtful, informed group of people. And we've said from early on, we want to love our neighbors as ourselves. We want to make the best possible decisions for the people in our church and in the Liberty community. So think through this, review the data, look at what's going on, and help us make the best decisions possible. We have been incredibly grateful that we live in a time when technology has made it so that we can safely continue to worship together in the way that we have, to attend Bible study together through Zoom in the way that we have, to connect in meetings in the way that we have, to continue in the life of the church, to supporting ministries and missionaries, and all of the good work that happens in that way. And we're grateful for that. And we're grateful for you and how agile you have been as a congregation and how generous you have been. And we're all in this together. We're all in this together, praying for one another, supporting one another. And it is really, I hate to keep using the phrase that so many people use, an unprecedented time, but it really is an unprecedented time. And so we want to be gracious with one another. We want to be compassionate with one another. We want to believe that we're all trying to make the best decisions that we can make with the information that we have, and be gracious for one another, with one another, when we differ on those things. And so that's our hope. But in the midst of that hope, we miss you, we miss one another. And so we're really excited about this opportunity to worship out at the Belvoir Winery together this coming Sunday. We'll be looking at the story of Jesus. This seemed appropriate, turning water into wine, his first miracle in the Gospel of John, and asking the question whether or not this story, this gospel story, has a message for us in the time that we're living in right now. It always does, doesn't it? I'm looking forward to sharing in that moment with you, and am grateful for the opportunity to continue to share in this life with you. Friends, I hope you have an incredible week.